Join us for 3 days in Orlando, Florida in March 2026 for an event designed to equip IT professionals like you with the tools, knowledge, and strategies to navigate the ever-changing cybersecurity landscape. Secure your spot and register to join us for 3 days of immersive learning, collaboration, and skill building with hands-on hacking labs and much more. Network with peers from around the globe. Share experiences and learn from real-world case studies, all aimed at enhancing your capabilities as an IT professional. Elevate your experience at the after party. Registration is now open. Register now for Zero Trust World 2026 and take the first step towards a more secure tomorrow.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to week 15,
The last week.
the last week, and we eventually get to rest.
We made it.
Back in the office, Rona free.
Well, yes.
So, and just really
Some of
finalizing.
us have been running free the entire time.
Hey, you're going to Brazil next week, maybe.
That is true.
So, we're really today we're going to wrap up on everything we've been going over the last 15 weeks. Hopefully, everyone who's attended this series is more secure than they were 15 weeks ago or 100
Hopefully
days
they've
ago.
learned something.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So we did ourselves. Even
We did.
We did the whole experiment, if you like.
We made products off the back of it.
Made products off the back of it. Implemented it in ThreatLocker. Found things we probably should have known about before, and that's after a FedRAMP audit, after a SOC 2 audit, after various compliance people breathing down our necks. We still found things we should be doing, and we
Shows the value of checking.
shows value of checking everything. So just to recap on last week, we demoed DAC, Defense Against Configuration.
I refuse to call it anything except dumbass configurations.
Or dumbass configurations. I think last week it had 25 checks. The new build that published since then has now got 50-something checks.
I thought it was 70.
70. I
Could be wrong.
I can't.
Split the difference. Let's call it 60.
Although yesterday because our final release of this, once it goes out of beta, will have 170, and the developers were celebrating yesterday because they crossed 100. So we have over 100 in the current beta build, but the current live build has 70-ish.
That's a lot of checks.
There's a lot of checks that happen every single day. Hopefully everyone enabled the DAC check and they've looked at their reports. Any questions, any problems, please share with us in the chat.
I can't believe you just did that to me.
What?
I'm going to now be answering questions about DAC in the chat for the rest of the webinar.
We also talked about DAC helping with compliance, and one of the challenges all IT security people have is going to the CFO, going to the CEO, saying we need to do this. It's important. It's going to stop ransomware. Well, why? I don't believe you. When you can go in and say, well, guess what? The federal government thinks we should, and the Australian government thinks we should, and CIS thinks we should, it makes it a little bit easier to make that justification. So always looking forward to the feedback on DAC. What we're going to do today is really just go through everything that should have been done, and we're going to leave this a lot open to questions. What problems have you had? What do you need answers on?
Kieran has just asked, what's DAC?
Was Kieran not here last week?
Pay attention, Kieran. It's either defense against configuration or dumbass configurations.
Okay, so maybe we'll start with that. So over the last 3 months, I guess, we've been building out a system to check your configuration. So a lot of what we're doing is configurations. Most cybersecurity attacks happen
from misconfigurations. Especially when you have really good systems in place. So if we think about a customer properly configured with whitelisting, shutting ports on their firewall, no VPN open, how are you getting breached? I mean, no one can run software on your machine. Nobody can use software against you because you're hardened PowerShell. Nobody can get onto your network because you've closed your ports. How are you getting breached? Well, the answer is you did something wrong. And I remember talking to a pen tester, and he said to me, well, we have a strategy for ThreatLocker customers. Because at first they said, oh, we won't actually pen test your environment with ThreatLocker. And then they came back and said, we actually have a strategy. We find the user that isn't configured. So we go through every machine and make sure every machine has, one of them is always in monitor mode or learning mode. And that's why people end up getting breached. So what DAC does is essentially tells you every day on every one of your endpoints, it runs, well, it will be 170 checks. It's now 70-ish checks. And it is going to show you where your configuration failures are. And I'm going to show you what that looks like very quickly for those who don't remember from last week. If you turn on the DAC option, you should have this in the portal. Anyone's had any problems with that, please let me know now, or let Rob know in his chat. So we can see here, this is our DAC dashboard. To turn DAC on, it is in beta. And any problems, any false reportings, please let us know. We go into our options and we add an option called Enable DAC. And this one's recommended is debug : DAC. That just gives us more logs if something goes wrong. So the way we do that, we type enable DAC, exactly like that, capital E, capital DAC, and then we click it in the drop down and it will add it. I've already got it, so it won't add it. And again, debug, this one's not necessarily to turn it on, but it does help us when you call us up and say, I've got a problem. We do the same thing, click on that. It's already on there, so it won't let me add it. Click save. It will turn it on for your organization. If you want to turn it on for just a single machine, you can add the option to a machine instead of the organization as well. Now, what that's going to do is once it's turned on, it's going to basically, you have to be on version 10.3.4 or above, recommend 10.5.1, and it's going to start running checks on those machines every day and reporting your status to ThreatLocker in the health center. So if you go into DAC here, Health Center and DAC, you'll see a list of all your checks and all your failures. So
on the subject of that screen there, a couple of people have asked about MSHGA blocking. They've created block policies for MSHGA and it's not registering DAC that it's fixed. We're aware of that one. I came across that one myself as well.
Yes.
So yeah, we know about that and we are working on getting it resolved.
And I think what happened was they looked for ring fencing policies as opposed to blocking policies.
Even if there's a superseding
which is, of course, blocking is much better than ring fencing.
Mm-hmm.
So we can see MSHTA in our machines is not blocked. We can see all of the computers affected by it. We can see all compliance violations on it. So if we say some of these are pretty generic. So this one says reasonable security procedures must be in place to protect privacy data, and that is on
sounds like all compliance frameworks.
Yes. Some of them more specific. So the one I like the most is the macro one, because that gives some really, really good. Oh, close that. Type search for macros up here. And I could say, for example, obviously I'm passing here, Office macros disabled. When I click on that and I click on something like CIS controls, configure systems to block macros from execution. So that's a really nice, clear, but we're going to show you everything that may be relevant in the compliance frameworks. I'm just going to delete that. I can see my whole, I can see all of my failures in my environment. So couple of new checks today. These are things we did not actually talk about during the 100 days because they weren't considered the most critical, but this is a good one actually. Remote desktop required high encryption. So it will show you here remote desktop high encryption. It will show you any standards against it, and it will give you resolutions. We are putting resolutions with links to community. So if you don't see a link to community, come back in a few days' time. They're literally being worked through at the fastest speed possible. So where we can create community policies, we're putting them in there automatically for you.
Couple of things. Marcus said, I couldn't see enable DAC or debug DAC in the organization options. You won't see them. They're basically hidden options.
Yes. So just type it exactly as I did. Enable, capital E, DAC, no space, and click on it, and it will add it to the list and hit save.
Follow-up question. Do all endpoints in the org need to be on a compatible agent version before the options are available?
If you add an option that's not recognized by an endpoint, it will just do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can add options just to single endpoints as well, if you don't want to do it on the entire org.
Corey has asked what modules / licenses are needed for DAC.
0 modules or licenses other than something. You've got to have a ThreatLocker agent. It can run any module. There are going to be tests that test every module. So in the event you don't have network control, it's going to fail certain tests. A lot of the tests, 90% of the tests are actually Windows operating system tests, not necessarily ThreatLocker tests. But the ones that are ThreatLocker tests, if you don't have network control and it's testing, do you have dynamic ACLs configured for your SMB, is going to say this failed that test.
Weston has asked, why do I have 23 results and not 60?
So the two things that could result in this
agent version.
One is the unapplicables are not necessarily always showing is the second thing. The most important thing is your agent version. If you are a 10.5.1, you'll probably have 60. So the 70 checks, we are changing it so unapplicables. So for example, one unapplicable is RD web is installed and not properly secured. If RD web isn't installed, it's unapplicable and won't show as a test. But if you don't have 60, probably because you're not on the latest agent version. Every agent version, we're adding multiple DAC checks, so keep it up to date.
Chris, and I'm going to give you a smart ass answer to this. I'm sorry, Chris. He said, any way to clear a check if I don't have NAC or some module? We're blocking it not just for ThreatLocker. I do appreciate the consumerism.
What's the smart ass answer?
Just buy the product, Chris.
There you go. Okay. So the answer is no, and there are different types of checks, and one of the checks we actually decided to add, we're doing an external port scan check. That has got nothing to do with ThreatLocker. If the port is closed from the internet, it will say the port's closed from the internet. One of the checks we're going to add is actually a port scan of your network. This is a little bit more complicated because we don't want 200 machines scanning the entire network. That will obviously pass regardless of what product you're using to determine if it's allowed or not. But some of the checks are specific to ThreatLocker, so they will show as red in your environment.
Sebastian, how do you calculate criticality levels for DAC?
Okay, so and this is a right now what we have considered as high critical is something that we believe is imminent threat to a cyber attack. And that's used based on the most common ransomware attacks, most common cyber attacks. So OpenRDP, for example, would be imminent threat. Running untrusted software would be imminent threat. Anyone could essentially download anything. We would consider them high criticality. Something that is a bad security practice, but not necessarily imminent to a cyber attack, will be lower. So we are restructuring a lot of these as well. So, for example, copying data from a US to a USB drive we would consider high because it's more likely an insider threat than a cyber attack. So we'll consider that high rather than critical. And the lows, I don't know if any mediums, tend to be more, this is required for FedRAMP. We don't necessarily think it's the most important thing, but it should be there. And going forward, we are going to release a full compliance manager product, which allows you to actually scan and choose compliance based on the framework you choose, as opposed to the ThreatLocker internal. So you have the ThreatLocker standard, then you have FedRAMP. FedRAMP, for example, requires FIBs to be enabled on all machines. Do we think not having FIBs enabled is the most likely way you're going to get hit by a cyber attack? No.
Probably not.
But FedRAMP requires it as a high or critical. Therefore, if you select FedRAMP or CMMC, it's going to flag that as high or critical going forward.
So, anonymous attendee has suggested it should be DAM, Defense Against Misconfigurations. Damn, that's a cool module. I have a point, actually. Do you not like
DAM? So here's the problem, and we'll get this censored out of the video afterwards, and then I'll deny it. The name didn't start as Defense Against Configuration. It started as Dumbass Configurations.
Should have stayed like that.
And we thought we needed a more appropriate name, so we had to keep the acronym because it was called DAC internally everywhere. And then we went and found a better name. Okay, so this is DAC. Let's move on because we want to get through some of the other things. If you haven't got it, you should be able to see the dashboard. You should be able to see some of the cool stuff now. If you don't, let us know. It takes 24 hours for the dashboard to appear after you enable those options, and you've got a ThreatLocker version that's valid.
Chris has asked a follow-up question, apart from saying he's poor, which I know he's not. He's saying, are there any plans to track where a client was first scan and where they are now, say 30 days later? We could then show you were here, and we fix these things on these dates.
You get 30 days of criticality line here. Here's the problem we're having right now, is people who are deploying agents to the numbers going up as opposed to down. But this shows you the line of chart where you were, how many bad configurations you had, and where you improved to over time.
They do also get a weekly email.
And they get well, that's true. And there's also a weekly email that shows you how many critical, how many highs you have, so you can see how you're improving there. On the full compliance manager module, which we will be launching in the future, that will give you multiple years of retention where you can actually show it to an auditor, so they can show continuous compliance with that. But that will be an extra feature.
That won't go down well with Chris. Chris is allergic to buying products. A couple of people have said, I can't seem to access the DAC dashboard. It's grayed out and has a lock icon beside it. How do I fix this?
Did you enable the DAC option?
I think they did. A couple of people have said that.
Did you wait 24 hours? Let's see. I'm gonna
anonymous attendee. That's some big DAC energy. I like that.
If you literally submit, I'm just checking that's running. I just sent a text message to see things happen.
In the meantime, that's some big DAC energy. Sending text messages to make sure things are running.
Yeah, sometimes people listen to me. No, I'm just sending a message to make sure that it's...
Yeah, Anonymous Sanity is also asked, I have a question. Does DAC only look at the misconfiguration in the context of ThreatLocker or the entire machine as a whole? For example, RDP being blocked by firewall, but not by NAC.
Okay, so it depends on the check. So RDP, in that case, we are checking you have an RDP policy that wouldn't allow a local and a public IP in the context of ThreatLocker. The port scan is looking at the machine in whole. So you may pass one check on an external and fail another on an internal check, because the port scan doesn't allow us to pass in any random IP, so we can't test effectively without the ThreatLocker module. Most of the checks in DAC are looking at the machine as a whole. So, for example, if you have enabled RDP with low encryption, that's going to check the setting.
Not ThreatLocker related.
You can use configuration managers to maybe fix them, but you don't have to. If you use Active Directory to fix them, it's going to say it's fixed. Okay. You get one more question before we move on, because
lock icon thing. Yeah, the lock icon. What?
I'm going to
multiple people.
Okay, so I've sent a text to see if I get a reply. And I
somebody
know
said I had to have my SE enable the dashboard for me, and somebody else said they had to get support to enable the dashboard for them, which seems a bit weird.
And someone's gonna... Okay, so if you have a lock icon, please report it, and hopefully if there's multiple people in the same issue, it will get solved for everybody. But please report it, and someone will enable
Ben
it for
said my DAC didn't show up at all till the ticket was opened with the cyber heroes.
Okay, well, hopefully I'm gonna go and check that after the case. Okay, so let's talk about the endpoint now. This is what you should have done over the last 15 weeks, 100 days. You should have deployed an agent, whether it's ThreatLocker, whether it's something else. You should have some kind of agent that's logging all of your data, executes, reads, writes, everything else, and deployed on test groups. Well, actually on live groups by now, so it says test groups in here, but over the 15 weeks, we should have had deployed everywhere. We should be able to audit and restrict USB devices by now. So if you recall, we had multiple options. One was block USB drives in its entirety. The other one was to block unencrypted. And the third was to block USB drives on data exfiltration, mass data exfiltration. So there's 3 options there. So there's not a case of I can't block USB drives, my users don't want me to. You should have a reasonable one of those 3 options that doesn't upset your users. We should have disabled Microsoft Office macros where possible, maybe excluding the finance team. Review and blocked high containment risk applications. So we should have ring fencing for things like PowerShell, RedServe, RunDLL, CScript. They're all out of the box, but we should have them in place by now, at least at the high risk applications. Please don't forget to keep ring fencing other applications. We did that as well. We showed the auto populate. You've got to be on the latest build for that, but keep moving forward on that to ring fence more applications. We did a review of network traffic, and especially high-risk ports, and denied the most inbound traffic on workstations, and put dynamic ACLs on servers. I know that's on the server side, but we should have most workstations deny all inbound is a really good idea. Audited local admin accounts, and we should have removed the ones that aren't being used. Unused admin accounts, big problem. Identify applications that required admin rights, and only elevated those, removing admin rights from everybody else. You can do that in ThreatLocker. Again, there's plenty of PAM solutions that allow you to do that, but we should only be elevating on a per application basis where needed. Patching applications and the operating system. So we should have some kind of patch management in place now. Remember the portable apps. ThreatLocker walks you through ours, but you should have something that it is at least alerting on out-of-date patches, and set up automated responses with your EDR. That was a really important one. So for those who don't remember that, I'll actually show the screen on here. If we can go back to here, a couple of automated responses we want to see in the EDR if you're ThreatLocker.
I have a question about this. Did you come up with this an idea, or did somebody suggest it to you?
I think I came up with this idea.
Did you? Okay.
All the best ideas come from me, Rob.
Most of the best ideas come from you.
Well, look, they come from me because of a problem someone said to me.
Yes.
Or because I get a lot of the ideas from our MDR team. So when we see somebody on a server messing around, it's great fun because we can see what could we do to slow them down. Okay, so essentially what we would want to do here, inactive expired, this box is driving me insane. I'm going to show you another sneak preview, which is going to make people very happy. Triggered policy. I've created a triggered policy here to block all of these admin tools. This is one of the triggered policies. And if we look at the tools, I basically say regedit, Windows App Terminal, 7-zip, Command Prompt, PowerShell, TeamViewer, which would normally not be allowed anyway. PowerShell full language, advanced IP scanner, PS exec. Basically any admin tool you can think of that an attacker could use, but PowerShell command prompt, registry editor being the three most important. BCD edit is another one we can put in there because that's another really commonly used one to boot into safe mode. So we have a policy there, and let me cancel that quickly. What this does is this says kill running processes and deny. So, and the policy is disabled. And the reason it's disabled is because it's a triggered policy. Now you'll notice when I try and save this, it's telling me that this policy can't be reached, which I need to fix. And I'm going to tell you why it says that now. And because it's ahead of workstations and 7-zip, those two are ahead of it. So I've got a workstation 7-zip and entire organization 7-zip allowing it, which means they can't, this one can never be reached. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. And then I'm going to go and change this right down to a lower number of 10. And cool feature that's about to be released, you're going to be really happy about this if you're a customer, flat policies. So you'll notice I have a filter here of all policies. You have to opt into this. It's only available for opt-in right now. It will be available for everyone. But instead of having the policies process in global, entire org, computer group, computer, or computer group, which is what they do under normal circumstances, you can now opt to have your policies process in a flat order. Now, when you do that, it's going to reorder all the policies because obviously one on enterprise or entire org will now be lower than one on or two on or 0 on group, whereas before it would be a different order. So it's going to reorder them all for you, and it's going to allow you to basically run a computer policy ahead of your global policies or computer policy ahead of your org policy. So you could create a policy, for example, for the entire org that is ring fence PowerShell, don't let it do anything for the entire org, and then create one more policy at the computer level for your user to say the IT guy can do his scripts in PowerShell.
Entire org or global, so you can supersede global policies as well.
Yes, so worth noting this, it's all based on the order number here. I have this option for all policies. If you would like this, ask for it. We will turn it on. It's a product, it's only opt-in. The reorder process is the most dangerous part because when it reorders, it's going to, if we're essentially trying to figure out what order they would have ran in before. If you've got global, it gets more complicated because you could have different globals, but we'll reorder them. Then you can run them in order. Another cool feature, you have to be on 10.5.3 to do this, which I am on my own machine. We have this new agent setting, which is not configured in here. It's called prioritize built-in applications. Uncheck that box, hit save, and it no longer prioritizes built-in applications. I know that's a heavily asked for feature. Technically, this is separate to the reorder, but we highly recommend you reorder before doing this. Otherwise, your PowerShell custom apps might stop PowerShell from ring fencing. So,
Anonymous attendee has asked, how do we opt in to flat?
Just ask your account manager or send an email to your account manager and tell them to make sure I turn it on for them. We can turn it on at any point. When you opt in, it's going to warn you this is not reversible. It's one way. The policies will be reordered. After the policies are reordered, please check the order to make sure they are as you expect. The prioritized built-ins does require 10.5.3 of the agent. The reorder to flat does not require any agent build specifically because it happens at the API side. If you've got multiple tenants, you have to opt in on the parent first before you do the children, if you've got sub-organizations. Okay, so didn't want to get distracted. I have my...
Anonymous attendee. No, come on. Work got in the way. I missed it. What's this flat policy thing? We literally just explained it.
Okay. There's a video going out.
Watch the video YouTubes afterwards, so, Anonymous attendee.
Back to the EDR triggered policies. I've created a policy here to block all my tools. I've made sure it's nice and high on the list. I can go as low as 1, or I've said 11, so it's above the others. I could type. Maybe I can't go 1, so it's right at the top of my list. I then go into my EDR and I create a policy that says, in this case, this is the one policy you probably should focus on first, which is warning threshold reached. And I've basically said the current threat level is great. The current built-in threat level is greater than 250. That's the level ThreatLocker considers it's worth sending a notification to your SOC that something suspicious is happening. You can go lower, you can go higher. 500 is critical.
In our book, 250 is our number internally. Create alert and enable this application policy. So what this means, ever seen a ransomware attack go down? Someone gets on your server, they start running admin tools, they start enumerating user accounts, they start trying to disable security tools, take away all their admin tools. It doesn't affect your server's operations. It does affect the person logged into the server. So if an IT guy gets on the server and starts running IP scanning tools, they're going to have a really bad day, but the server's not going to go down. And that's what's important here. We slow the attacker down without actually breaking the server and stopping the server serve. This is what my favorite policy. The other ones I like is data exfiltration. In this case, we've said more than 10 reads from the browser, automatically block it's a storage control policy, block browser reads, and detect excessive file writes is another one. So if there's more than 200 writes in 1 hour of these file types, block all file writes on the system, and monitor for clouds. Limit. This is the USB I was talking about, so limit it to 10. So bunch of policies there we should put in place. What else should we be doing at the endpoint? We've already gone through admins, patch applications, set up automatic response, and use a 24-hour SOC, EDR, or MDR.
Someone needs to be watching alerts 24/7, 365.
If you are sending yourself alerts, there is nothing wrong with saying, I'm going to lock this stuff down so tight I don't need to watch it. That's okay. It's better than relying on it being watched.
But if you're relying on it being watched,
if you're getting alerts, someone's got to watch them.
Yeah.
Someone's got to look at them. Someone's got to respond to them 24 hours a day. So use an MDR, use ThreatLocker, use somebody else. Just use an MDR or a SOC 24 hours a day that's getting those alerts and responding to them. Okay.
That's an interesting one from Dave. Suggestion. Is there a detect option to flag a message to the end user to warn them of impending action, e.g. on excessive reads? Pop up a message to a user.
There is not, but
it's a good suggestion.
The product manager.
Stop doing that. Yeah, that's a good suggestion, Dave.
Just look like put like a little GIF, like Jurassic Park.
Do we need to tell people about the time that you popped up a message on my screen saying what? Do you remember?
No.
Potatoes. So there is actually a function where you can pop up any message, and I got a message randomly on my computer one day saying potatoes.
Yes, you can send messages through the ThreatLocker API, so we don't make it to a computer.
Publicize it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's saying get messages to machines. So technically it's possible.
Yes.
It's just...
But it's not possible as a detect
a pre-warning to send a message to the user. It would be a pretty easy detect action to have a policy that says if USB writes exceeds X, send message to Trey saying...
No.
You've been bad.
Yeah, good suggestion, Dave.
Okay, a couple of other things. We should have disabled SMB version 1 unless we're running really, really old scanners on Windows 10. Well, not 11 because it should be disabled by default. And Windows Server 2016 R1. Really, really important. Password protected screensavers. Remember, someone gets onto your machine in the middle of the night. Someone plugs in a rubber ducky. Useless. An OMG cable if the machine's locked. So make sure you have
more difficult.
Turned off the Windows keylogger, otherwise known as Total Recall. Not Total Recall, but
Getting to know you.
Getting to know you, and Recall is called now.
Anonymous. No, the new version of Getting to Know You is called Recall.
Yes,
which you can block with Configuration Manager.
Yes,
policy for that.
Turn on BitLocker. Remember why this is important. Someone tries to mount your virtual servers, even if it's in a secure data center, they can't mount a drive if it's encrypted. Go ahead, Ralph.
Anonymous attendee has asked, can Danny pivot to a live potato demo?
No live.
Anonymous attendee, quick question. Could I get a copy of Rob just saying potatoes? Asking for reasons.
You can get it in AI.
Yes.
Okay. Telnet should be blocked. Client and server on your endpoints. Disable auto run and block Windows recall. We've already said that one. Disable auto run on USB drives. It's disabled by default now. It gives you a pop-up saying, do you want to run the program? But it's better to completely disable it so they can't even click yes. Make it harder for users to do dumb stuff. Okay. And next, servers. Want to get through this fast, Rob.
Yes.
Restrict most outbound traffic. Remember, Exchange. What's the other one? SolarWinds. Both of which foil just by blocking internet access to the server. Do it on ThreatLocker by ring-fencing your app. Do it on your firewall by blocking all outbound traffic from your server. But block outbound traffic on your server. If you publish an Exchange server on the internet, you don't need it to be able to go out to the internet, only to receive connections on 443. So someone gets on there, someone tries to download malware with an exploit,
block outbound traffic on the internet. We should have done this by now, and only allow inbound where necessary. Remembering those dynamic ACLs we set up. Set up an alert if an application is denied. So have some kind of alert in detect. Go ahead, hey, an application's been denied. We want to know about this on a server. Applications shouldn't be denied on servers. It means someone's doing something bad. And enforce MFA for logins to your servers. There's plenty of products out there to allow that. Not bulletproof. I mean, Duo, perfect example. You can use it free for so many users, I believe. I don't know if you still can.
Well, also helps you with logins, doesn't help you with SMB.
Doesn't also help you with remote registry, which can redirect. So one of the things, suggestions was disabling remote registry. And follow the principles of least privilege wherever you can. Okay. They tell me they continued after.
Dustin actually wants to add to this list. You should go over storage policies for blocking ISOs and VHDs that are not authorized. We had an incident where somebody used Hyper-V server to circumvent ThreatLocker by spinning up a virtual.
I suspect that's on the continue because it was in our webinar series. So let's pull the continue back up. We've lost our backup screen. Audit admin accounts, audit fine ground, enable group policy auditing, enable LDAP. And if we can go to the next server, I'm sure we got more. Oh, we don't.
No.
Why is that not on the server? It was in our...
It should be.
Maybe it's elsewhere. Maybe it's on our storage slides. But yes, have a storage policy to block access to VHDX files. If we did discuss it during the series, but you should have done that by now. Or if you're using VMware.
Allow specific VHDXs, block others. But it's really easy to do in storage control. And I believe there are community policies that you can probably pull down and adjust as necessary.
Remember, the harder we make attackers' jobs, the more likely they are to quit. They just don't want to work that hard.
But again, that is a really common strategy. So if you're a bad guy, you get onto a server, your life is being made difficult by security software that's on it. It's really easy to spin up a VM on a Hyper-V server. I mean, it takes them literally seconds. They just bring along their own VHD and they've suddenly got a machine that they can work from.
Okay. Okay, so next we have simple computers.
Great computers. Sorry, Peter said, Danny, I appreciate your focus on the content. Rob, I appreciate you being distracting.
Okay.
So we're both bringing something to this.
Okay, so do not disable. I think the check should be here. Ensure that the built-in protections are still enabled on the Mac OS. All the same applies to Windows. Make sure you're blocking untrusted software. Make sure you're ring fencing apps. Mac doesn't change. It's still an operating system. Despite that video, which I meant to bring in today, you know, the Mac versus PC video where Apple literally went out and said Macs can't get malware. Do you remember that one, Rob?
No, I have a very short memory for these things, Danny.
Disk encryption should still be enabled on a Mac, and disable Mac OS sharing capabilities and enable them request only. Make sure your Mac's patched because there was a vulnerability 2 years ago that, remember the one that allowed me to take full control of your Mac from your AirPods?
Yeah, which was patched, yes.
Yes.
Interesting one. I know we mentioned macOS sharing capabilities. One thing that came up recently, and I've seen quite a lot of, is Microsoft Quick Assist. Not in the context of Macs, in the context of Windows. So attackers are using Quick Assist, it's not technically built into Windows. I think it's something you add via the Windows Store. But it's basically the equivalent of TeamViewer or AnyDesk or anything else. It just so happens it's made by Microsoft. Pretty sure we do have a built-in for Quick Assist, and I'm pretty sure it would be a good idea for most people to just block Quick Assist across their entire estate.
Yes, because when you get a very nice call from Microsoft,
it's less likely that the person is going to be able to download Quick Assist and run it. And again,
I want to get back to the Mac because before this conversation, before this call,
clearly there's no security problems with Macs, Danny.
Yeah,
so
you put it all in one. Well, you just said do everything that you do on Windows plus things. Your argument for Mac is they're simpler, one mouse button,
they're just better,
easy to use, less to go wrong,
sexier, blacker,
simpler. I have a gift for you, Rob. The box.
The box. What's in the box? How did the box get there?
So I asked ChatGPT.
The box was over there a few minutes ago. Now the box is here.
I asked ChatGPT for a. I said I may have said for my child, but I said I'm looking for a computer that's much simpler and easier to use, that has less things go wrong. Seeing if it would give me a Mac or Windows. And I said, should I use a Mac or Windows if I want something simpler? And I said, I may have said it's for a child, meaning you, and it came up with a better suggestion for you, Rob, that you're gonna love. So I ordered it especially for you.
Oh, Danny, you shouldn't have.
So
My own laptop.
and
Oh,
look,
it's
for
even green.
one mouse button. It's
That-
even a poor button,
It does have one mouse button, undoubtedly. Oh, messages.
and
Okay,
you
I'm
can
gonna
send
have
messages. Everything
endless fun with this.
iMessage.
Isn't that just tremendous? Thank you, Danny. I'm genuinely touched.
Yeah, and
We've now answered the question of what's in the box because I was going full 7 on the what's in the box. But yes, thank you.
it has the complete functionality of your current laptop,
No, it doesn't.
apart from it can't run ThreatLocker.
My current laptop doesn't have a paw button on it. So yeah, it is in some ways. Inevitable question. Can I get this enrolled in ThreatLocker? So does it run ThreatLocker?
I highly doubt it.
Oh, okay.
So
does a simple laptop have Potato Messenger installed?
it's green.
It's green. Yeah, that's good enough.
Okay, so now let's get to the cloud accounts. Okay, registered domains with alternative characters. Remember, ThreatLocker, ThreatOinker, OINKER, CKER, cannot be determined differently. A capital I versus a lowercase l in
I just say
Outlook.
Mark Mina has asked, what's the stance on Chromebooks? Would it be fair to say something akin to this?
Yes. So, similar characters. If you've got the letter L in your domain name, register it with a letter I. Any similar characters, it's $10 a year, $12 a year. It's not overly expensive. And the problem is, if someone registers threatiocker.com, they can send you an email with SPF, DKIM, validation from ThreatLocker, and you can't see any difference because the capital I matches a lowercase l in Outlook. It doesn't matter how good your eyes are, you won't be able to see it. So make sure you register those domains. Inventory your online accounts to turn MFA on where possible. Yes, don't forget GoDaddy, Namecheap. If someone redirects your DNS, it's really, really bad. Office 365. Sneak peek, not technically announced, but DAC will be extending to your cloud accounts.
Ooh, exciting.
So, and use conditional access for Office 365. Remember, limit countries if you can limit countries. Limit devices with the ThreatLocker Access app on your phone, not called Access anymore.
I was just going to say, did you just call it ThreatLocker Access?
Yeah.
ThreatLocker not Access.
The ThreatLocker app on your phone can track the IP address. We also introduced new impossible travel technologies 2 weeks ago. So when you have your phone, you have your laptop, we know what's impossible because we know the IP address of your device. So make sure you configure either Cloud Control, Cloud Detect, something to monitor your Office 365 logs, and also turn on conditional access to limit access that isn't required. Don't allow old web browsers. Don't allow legacy clients. Things like that can just help make it harder for attackers. Use your company's branding on Office 365 as well. So better to go to the page and see your company logo. Will someone copy your company logo? Absolutely. Is it difficult? No. But if half the attacks aren't branded, it means your users are going to see something different half the time. So
again,
cost nothing.
Making the attackers' lives more difficult.
Filter malicious web content. So don't let people go to bad websites. 43% of customers of ThreatLocker have had someone in the company visit a adult site in the last 7 days. Well, honestly,
only 43%.
Only 43%.
Surprising.
It's a good idea to work computer, work, home computer, home.
Quick Assist community has a lock on it. Somebody's trying to.
You have an enable configuration manager probably, unless it's probably a configuration manager policy.
It is a config manager.
Yeah,
policy.
so and configuration manager is included in most of our bundles, so
yeah.
it might be as included. Set up MDR Cloud Control to dynamically update name locations, and set up MDR for Cloud Tech. Don't forget your runbook. These guys are really, really quick. They keep calling me when I do Impossible Travel. The new Impossible Travel stuff really helps. You don't need the Microsoft P whatever license. It takes it from the raw log. So make sure you set that up. Okay.
Oh, interesting. We recently had an incident where someone called impersonating a company help desk tech and instructed the user to allow control via Quick Assist. Our user failed and allowed control, then run as files from browser, but then get ring fenced is a good idea to restrict Quick Assist. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Lock it. And apparently it is built into Windows. So, deny policy.
Yeah, deny policy, or I think there's a config manager policy as well. You can also do it through a built-in app if there's not a built-in app.
There is a built-in for it.
So there's 2 ways. You can do it through application control, create a deny policy for it, do it through configuration manager, which is essentially going to disable a Windows registry key that says you can't run Quick Assist. Okay, everything else. I'm going to wrap up on the first thing, and then we're going to leave it wide open for connection. Go on.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So Chris made some smart comment about Mac, so I basically told him I'd enough of him and I wasn't going to pay any more attention to him. But he said, you'll be proud, Robert, we'll be looking at cloud control soon. So, Chris, you're back in my good books. Thank you.
Okay. Internal and external port scanning your network. Know what is on your network. Do it at home. It's terrifying. But scan your network, scan the outside of your network regularly. DAC is going to scan the outside of the firewall for the public IP that the client comes from. So make sure you're doing your own scans as well. It's not going to scan IPs that clients don't come from. Turn off your VPN. If you do not need it, turn it off. If you do need it,
turn it off anyway.
Turn it off anyway. Make sure you close as many external management ports as possible. Any ports that is not required on the VPN, make sure it's closed. Log4j, real issue. The admin ports on those VPNs cause a lot of problems. When they are connected, make sure you're using dynamic ACLs on your internal network. So if someone connects, it's not going to work. They won't be able to see anything. And also, if you can, limit the VPN. We do have some VPNs running in ThreatLocker, but we limit them to the IP addresses of where the users are connecting from. If you can't do that, at least limit what they can connect to. So if they need to connect to a SQL server, give them access to a SQL server, nothing else. Make the attacker's life as difficult as possible. Don't forget to patch your routers. That's a really, really important one. You should have that every month. Just go on to all your routers and make sure they're all up to date and patched, because it's a good monthly checklist.
I think the technical term is router.
Yes, if you're in Australia or America.
Okay, wait, hang on. It's going to kick off in chat and Q&A now. Yeah, there we go, Craig. Router, ROOTER.
Okay, what other questions do we have? Because I got through the content. I wanted to get through the content because...
Randy, big fan of ThreatLocker's continuous improvement on the product, always getting better. Thank you, Randy. Now, anonymous attendee, this question is a bit off topic. What is ThreatLocker doing to ensure bad actors are not gaining insights on ThreatLocker agent developments? That controls included that would allow said bad actors to add ThreatLocker to the list of targets of EDR killer tools.
Okay, so, well, I think...
It's a big one.
That's a complicated one. And by the way, there's nothing more than keeps me up at night than insider threats inside ThreatLocker. And we have so many checks inside our company that nobody has access to. Like, builds have to go through so many different departments, not just people.
I think it's more about us making stuff known, so therefore bad guys know that these are things and they may need...
I think the bottom line is, if a proper security tool isn't about obscurity, it's about hardening things. So EDR killers work by just bypassing the EDR, killing the process. And there are... When you're an admin on a machine, there's always things that we find out, workarounds, how you disable something. And we constantly patch those holes and make sure we're ahead of them. Can we stop them knowing? No. I mean, ThreatLocker at this point is the something fastest growing company in the US, one of the fastest growing cyber companies in the US. Probably the world, I think.
I mean, you're not going to stay under the radar.
We're not going to stay under the radar. What we need to do is make sure we deliver secure tools, as opposed to trying to stay under the radar and hide from the bad guys. Because the reality is they are targeting all the time. They're trying to find ways to access systems. They're trying to find ways to... I mean, we have detection tools, and we're just like any other detection or EDR. We follow the MITRE ATT&CK framework, but we also add new detections in, multiple every single day. But in addition to that, we they're trying to tiptoe around those, just like any other detection tool. And detection tools will always be tiptoeable around. But things like blocking software by default, it doesn't matter if it's obscure code or not obscure code or new code, it won't run. And that's why ThreatLocker's been so successful.
A lot of questions about the badge and the gear, which I think we've just answered. Jason, how do you feel about the new extension-based exploits?
As in web extensions? Or
I presume it's web extensions that he's talking about. I mean, realistically, they're not new. There's been bad extensions for...
Block them all.
Block them all. Excellent. I like that.
I want to talk about... If you've got questions, please.
Okay, this is a good one. What is ThreatLocker doing to stop bad actors from creating bad movies? Jeff, top marks for that, my friend. Top work.
Okay. 2 weeks time I think is our next one. This is September 2nd, I believe. Oh look, it's on the screen. We have a new starting new webinars. No 100 days in a row, so we get 2 weeks we get a little bit of a break now, Rob. Lights out checklist. We are approaching, well, I feel like there's always a holiday season, but we're approaching the biggest holiday season, and most attacks or more attacks happen over holiday weekends. Thanksgiving, Christmas, anytime there's an extended weekend means more time for attackers to get onto your network. So we create this lights out checklist. What do you do before you go home for the holiday weekend to make sure that you're less likely to be hit by attack and less likely to ruin your holiday weekend? So we're going to do that in September 2nd, 11 a.m. Eastern time.
So we will be back. We'll be back. Don't fret. Everybody seems to be very worried that we're not going to do any more of these. So Glenn suggesting we need to block Windows by default. Okay.
I mean, technically, the best way to
block... It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for them. Yeah, Michael, thank you for creating the series. I hope you'll consider doing something similar on an annual basis. Possibly.
We're going to continue to add, we're considering shorter webinars where we do quick 20-minute webinars with some tips rather than longer ones.
Did Danny, Dave Barnes, did Danny just suggest that he's always on holiday? I thought he never stops working.
No, I'm never on holiday.
Both of those things are true, Dave. Both of those things are true.
There is always a holiday, but I'm never on holiday. And I find the more countries we operate in, it's like every day I go, well, can you get this person on the phone? Oh, no, he's in PTO today. It's a public holiday there today. It's like, how many public holidays exist in the world? And why can't we have them all at the same time? With the exception of pretty much Christmas and New Year, every single country seems to operate a different set of public holidays.
Listen, I have a one-word answer to that, which is Thanksgiving. That's all I'm going to say. It's not real Christmas.
Okay.
Are you waiting for the backlash? I'm waiting for the backlash. No. Douglas has suggested a Danny and Rob podcast. Then file that one under a maybe.
I don't know if Houston might have a problem with that.
Houston, I was so happy. So for those of you who don't know, one of our guys is called Houston, and when Danny called in sick last week to say he was going to have to do the webinar from home, I had the opportunity to walk across the office and go, Houston, we have a problem. And that made me really happy. No, Bob has made actually a very valid point, which he said, is there any reason the Lights Out seminar is after the Labor Day holiday and not before to prep us?
Because everyone will know why it's... we're prepping you for Thanksgiving and Christmas. But
yeah, fair.
So, but yes, it's after.
Cool.
Okay, guys, thank you, Rob. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you, everyone.
We will please fill in the form to get your t-shirts and Yetis. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your day and
goodbye.
Goodbye.